This is going to be a little bit of a different video. Um, I've just been in a funk the past couple of weeks. And the reason why I've been in a funk is because some things have transpired in my personal life that leave you to feel defeated, powerless, uncertain, trapped. And as a consequence of that, it's like you get angry, but there's nothing you can do with that anger. There's no one you can really get angry at. So then sometimes you start turning it inward. And even though I do this work with people day in and day out, sometimes you just need to sit with your own shit for a little while. And sometimes you just need to sit there with that feeling of feeling powerless, angry, helpless. Sometimes you just need to sit with it. And that's okay. And I practice all the strategies and the techniques that I teach my clients and the people in my groups how to do. And that doesn't always fix the shitstorm that's going on. What it does, it may give you a little bit more strength, a little bit more patience. And I talk a lot about these four concepts that really changed my life: acceptance, radical, proactive acceptance, trust, patience, and letting go. And I guess part of it is being an adult where it's like one thing happens and another thing happens and another thing happens. And then things happen that are not your fault. And you want to act on some of those things, but there's not really much you can do that's going to make a difference right now. And so it's been a little bit of a struggle for me to post content because I'm not feeling inspired. I'm not feeling motivated. Or I wouldn't say motivated. I feel motivated. I've sat down and put my camera in front of me several times and turned my mic on. And then I'm like, I just have nothing to fucking say. So I just want to be honest and real that even a hypnotist, even an anxiety relief guy, even people who work in mental health, they still have off days, they still have off weeks. And my way of dealing with it has been to really jump into working with clients a lot. In fact, like this, this like composition notebook is where I've been keeping all my client notes because I'm just like, what the fuck? So I've been laughing a lot, doing my best to stay optimistic. But sometimes we just need to sit with our shit. And I felt like this a few years ago, and I was on a run. I called my best friend Amanda, and she's like, you don't sound great. I'm like, no, it's just like adulting is hard sometimes, because you just have to keep dealing with shit that comes up, and most of it's not your fault. And like they don't tell us that, right? They going through school, they teach us that when you accept responsibility for things are going to work out. But then all these things happen that aren't your fault. They're not fair. And we can get caught up in the unfairness of life. And sometimes I do. But I was on a run a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, actually, a while ago. And my best friend, she called, she said, you don't sound great. I said, I don't feel great. said, just like a lot going on right now. And she said, Dan, feel, deal, heal. I'm like, I like that. I wrote it down. Feel, deal, heal. I'm like, huh. We got to feel our feels, feel our emotions, think our thoughts, and then we deal with them when we're ready. When we're ready. And then when we're ready, we can start healing from those. And right now, I'm in the midst of, some things. Some people are very close to me are going through some things right now. And textbook, we did everything right. We did everything right. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we did everything right. We still feel powerless. We still feel robbed. And we're kind of fighting through it right now. I won't say struggling through it. I'd say fighting through it, because it is. It's pretty much a fight. So I know this is kind of downer, isn't it? This is, you're like, this guy's going to motivate me. I'm like, nope, I'm going to suck all your dreams right away from you. The dream crusher. That's what I do. I cut you down, and I build you up. But I just wanted to come on here and be vulnerable and honest and real, without giving too much insight into what's going on, because it's not all my stuff. But I will say this though, there is another video that's going to be very uplifting that I'm gonna produce, because it's a video I've wanted to record for a couple of weeks. In fact, one of my coaches, she said, Dan, she goes, you need to start talking about your successes more, and you need to start talking about the things that like you've accomplished, because you can't assume everybody knows. I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. So I was trying to figure out a way that doesn't sound like really egotistical and like narcissistic to talk about my accomplishments, and I found a way to do it, and it's in an exercise that I do with my clients. So I'm gonna publish another video probably right after this one that's gonna have a different feel and a different energy to it. But sometimes when people get into this state of mind, they isolate. And I will say that's one thing that's not healthy to do for too long. It's okay to kind of separate yourself so you can deal with things and like deal through things, but you don't want to really isolate for too long. And that's also why I've been like diving really deep into doing a lot of client work and working with more clients. I have been taking more clients on individually instead of putting people just in my group. I've been working with people a little bit differently, and they've been loving it. They've been loving it. There's this thing that I've been doing. It's a foundation session, and it's just like about an hour to an hour and a half deep dive where I just sit there and I am with the client, and we're just there together, and I'm hearing them, and then we're working through things in a way that works for them. So instead of going like all textbook and going, oh, let me go through my techniques, it's just really being intuitive and tuning into what that client needs. And so that's kind of how I've been starting with a lot of people, and even like I'm like, okay, I'm going to start working this way with people. And I didn't think anyone would sign up for it, because I made it pretty expensive. And a bunch of people end up signing up for it. So I'm like, okay. So, but the cool thing is, so many people are really vibing with it, and vibing with this way that's like more raw, more real, more authentic of how I work with people. And it's interesting, because if I didn't go through all this shit and all this stuff of like, I keep working at it, and these things are happening in my personal life, like they're not my fault. They're not anybody else's fault in our immediate circle. It's a consequence of other people's decisions that they're making based on reactions. And like that sucks, right? But if I didn't go through this, I probably wouldn't be working with clients in the way that I'm working with them now. Um, which like I said is just really like dialing in, being like raw, real, and authentic, and like I'm there in the trenches with you. And I've never really worked with people like that before. So I really am starting to tune in, dial in, and I think the things I'm going through now are really, people I'm working with, they're starting to notice. And I just got this really cool email a few minutes before I turned on this camera. That's what motivated this video. And a client I worked with, she thanked me for telling her my story of, growing up with addiction in my family, alcoholism in my family, and how I'm statistically supposed to be an addict, and the series of a few decisions that I've made that allowed me to take control. And those little pivot points and those real authentic moments, those like raw triggering moments, if you will, that were triggering for me are actually very healing for other people. So I really hope this resonates with some of you, and just please know, the world is a really weird place right now. And it's affecting a lot of people in really weird and unfortunate ways. And for some people, even though they're doing everything right, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And it's affecting people. It's affecting a lot of people. It's never a good idea to make reactionary decisions. And they're not well thought out. And if you're watching this and you have a business and you've made decisions based on pure reaction and on raw emotion, you probably have seen that things may not have worked out too well for you. Or if they did, it's because fortunately it wasn't too much of radical change that was based on reaction. Hopefully it was well thought out in the process. But doing too much radical change can affect things in a way that you might not want to affect them. And I think there's a lot of that going on. So with that said, my friends, I hope this resonates with the people it needs to resonate with. If it doesn't, it's okay. I'll get back to my regularly scheduled program and filming the content that I normally film that's hopefully helpful in the very near future. As always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and a happy healing. Bye for now.